we're going to go into today's actual lesson. Do not worry, I will send this song to all of you, and you can take the time, listen to the song, ask daddy and mommy to play it in the car, in the radio, at home, you know, over your speakers, your Bluetooth speakers, and then you all can get familiar with it, okay? I'll give you some time to get familiar with it, okay? Right. So today's lesson, we are not going to be talking about Story Mountain. We are going to be looking at how to connect words using transitional words, okay? We're going to connect sentences and phrases using transitional words, okay? Right? Are you all okay? Are you all ready to go? Okay, good. Now, let's take a look at this story, okay? It's a very familiar one, right? I'm sure that you know the story of Cinderella. Okay, there are some missing words though, right? Can you look at these words? The first letters have been filled in for you. And if you know the answer, can you raise your hands and volunteer the first, the second, and the third? Who would like to try the first? The first. Okay, let's have Kaylin. Kaylin, what do you think is this answer?
First.
Oh, okay. So the first answer is first. Okay, right? Anybody wants to try the second one? Okay, let's have Isin.
Then.
Okay, right. Can you spell then for me, please?
Then.
Very good. Then. Be careful that you don't confuse it with than, which is THAN, right? That's a comparison word, okay? But THEN is correct. And the third one, Andrea?
Lastly.
Okay, can you spell lastly for me, please?
LASTLY.
Very good. All right. So can you all tell that these are words that tell you which one comes first, second, and third? Right? First, then, and lastly are words that order or sequence the story so that you know which part of the story comes after the other. Are you all clear with the words first, then, and lastly? It's quite simple, right? Okay, it's quite straightforward, right? We see this in a lot of storybooks, especially a lot of fairy tales, right? Where you have things happening one after another, okay? So they are like traffic signs. They are like your red, your yellow, and your green lights, right? Okay? These are words that tell you when to slow down, when to go on to the next one, or when to even go back to the previous one, all right? So these are what transitional words are for. They arrange the order of the story according to the time in which that part of the story happens, okay? First, then, next, and finally. These are the words we're going to be covering today and we're going to be using to practice today, okay? So before I continue, I'm just going to check whether you all fully understand, okay? I'm going to call on you randomly, yeah? Okay, so any of you may be called on to tell me what's the answer, okay? Let's see, I'm going to call on Janessa. Okay, Janessa. Are you there, Janessa?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Janessa, can you tell me what is the word that I use after the word first? What's the word that I would use after I use the word first?
Then.
Very good. Thank you very much. Now, after the word then, what word would I then use after the word then? Okay, let me have, let me call a boy, since I just called a girl, right? Okay, I'll call a boy, okay? After then, Terence, what word would I use after the word then?
Lastly.
I could use the word lastly, you're right. But what if I don't want to use the word lastly? Claire, what else can I use before the word lastly? Do you know the answer, Claire? Actually, we didn't cover this, so it's okay. But we'll see. Okay, Shan, you want to try?
Finally.
Oh, finally and lastly are the same actually. So I want something that is before finally or lastly. So we have firstly, then we have then, we have first, then we have then, right? What can I use after then, but before lastly or finally? What can I put between then and lastly or finally? Christabel, you want to try?
Next.
Next. Okay, that's good. I mentioned next, didn't I? So first, then, next, and finally. I want you all to show me your 4 fingers, okay? Right? Mr. Thumb will be first, okay? Mr. Index finger will be then, Mr. Middle finger will be next, and Mr. Ring finger will be finally. I want you to remember, okay? Right? And then if you want, you can put Mr. Pinky finger or the last finger as lastly. You can remember this as lastly. First, then, next, finally, lastly. Can you all try to remember this, please, everybody? Show me your 5 fingers. Awesome. Okay, you can keep your thumb up as your first, right? Then next, finally, and then lastly, right? Lastly is the last finger, okay? So use your fingers to remember. Very good. Well done. Okay. So remember that these words, they connect your ideas. And when I was walking around and looking at your writing today, I didn't see a lot of you using these words to connect, right? You all just kept on using then, or when. And it got very boring after a while. Do you agree with me, right? If the person keeps repeating the same word, it doesn't get boring after a while, right? Okay, so I want you to try to vary the way you connect your sentences instead of just using then, or when all the time. Try to vary it by using first, then, next, finally, or lastly. Okay? Good. Okay, now take a look at these 6, okay? Now, I'm giving you a lot of other possible connecting words. Take a look here, and I want you to tell me if there is a word that you do not understand on this slide, okay? I'm going to ask one of you randomly, then you must tell me if there's any word you don't understand on this slide, okay? Lorraine, are you there? Okay, Lorraine, the question is simple. Can you tell me if there's any word on this slide that you don't understand?
Contrast.
Oh, contrast, very good. Okay, that is a difficult word, right? Contrast means 2 things are opposite to each other. So the contrast of light is dark. The contrast of big is small. The contrast of tiny is huge. Okay, now Lorraine, I test you one more time. Can you tell me what is the contrast of fat?
Thin.
Yes, very good. You've got it. So now do you understand what is contrast? Okay, so when we use transitional words of contrast, we are showing that something changes from one way to the opposite way, right? So for example, I might say, it's raining heavily, but I still need to play football, right? So it's raining heavily. Normally you wouldn't play football, right? In the rain, but tells me that the contrast is about to happen, meaning I'm going to play football anyway, all right? Let's see. I still have some raised hands. Ian, do you raise your hand? Go ahead.
I can't see the last one.
Oh, you can't see the last one. Is it because I'm in the way? If I move away this way, can you see it now? Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so similarity means the word tells you that 2 things are similar. For example, as well as. So for example, I might say that Mr. Pang as well as Mrs. Lim is from Sinmin Primary School. Okay, so Mr. Pang as well as Mrs. Lim, right? Both of us are from Sinmin Primary School. Okay, so it's a contrast. It's not a contrast, it's a similarity. Okay, Jasper, do you have a raised hand?
I
Go
don't
ahead,
know
Jasper.
the meaning of emphasis.
Okay, very good. Emphasis, the first box here, right? Now, emphasis means to make something even more serious or obvious. Okay, so when I say yes, right, I'm saying that something is true. But if I want to make the yes even stronger or heavier, then I might say something like, indeed, very true, right? So when I use the word like indeed or very true, I'm making that point even stronger. That's an emphasis. An emphasis is when I make something even stronger. So I don't just say yes, I say very true, or I say really, really, really true, right? So I make something even stronger by using additional words to emphasize or to make sure that that thing is very serious, okay? Very good. I take it that we all understand the rest of the words. Any more words you don't understand? Okay. Now, don't worry, this is being recorded. So again, you can always play this back, right? And you can listen to the explanations if you feel that Mr. Pang was going a bit too fast earlier. Okay, good. So far, 20 minutes of the lesson have passed. We've come to the halfway mark. So please make sure that you understand what's going on before I move on to the next section, okay? Yeah. So, Tammy, did you raise your hand? Yes? What is it?
I don't understand the meaning of namely.
Oh, namely. So namely is the same as for example, right? So, let's say I want to say, I love different kinds of dogs, right? For example, or namely, golden retrievers, right? Poodles, right? Chihuahuas, right? So I'm naming the different examples of a dog. Do you get it, Tammy? So namely is a word you use to give examples of something, right? So this is a transitional word that tells you that examples are coming up, right? So I love dogs, namely golden retrievers, chihuahuas, right? Poodles, right? These are examples of the dogs that I love. Yes, Joshua, go ahead.
Nevertheless.
Oh, okay. Nevertheless is the same as but. It's just a longer and a more complicated way to say but. Okay. However, I can use this word at the beginning. So nevertheless and however are very similar in the way that they are used. Okay. But you don't have to worry. We just need to use the simple ones today. Okay. I'm just showing you all the examples, right? But yes, if they are in the same group, it means that they work the same way, right? Yes, Andrea, go ahead.
Inside.
Can you see the same group as beside? Beside. Did you say beside?
No, I said in spite.
Oh, in spite. Okay. In spite of is the same as but or however. Okay. So again, don't worry. If you don't know how to use it, you don't have to use it right now. I'm just showing it to you as an example. But remember, look in the same family. It will function in the same way. Okay. So it's kind of like a more complicated version of a but or a however. Okay. Yes. Final question from Ian. Okay. Go ahead.
What's the meaning of moreover?
Okay, again, right? If you look here, moreover is kind of like a complicated version of and. Okay, it's kind of like in addition to something, right? So again, if you're not too familiar, you don't need to use it. It's just here to show you some additional examples, okay? So let's move on from this slide, okay? This should be quite easy, right? Let's take a look at some of the examples, right? We've already covered some of them, right? So when we begin a sequence or when we begin a story, we tend to begin with one sunny Sunday or in the beginning or right a long time ago if it's a fairy tale, right? Right, or first, right, when we are giving a list of instructions, okay? So these are some of the words that we can use to connect, okay? First, second, next, then, finally, in the end, last. This should be quite straightforward. Any questions here, anybody? Okay, again, do not worry about copying every single thing down, because I will send this to all of you and you will have a copy of this, all right? So it's more important that you understand and you have no questions, right? So don't be too worried about copying everything down because Mr. Phang will send this to you, okay? Any questions? That's the more important thing. If you're not sure, now will be a good time to ask, okay? Otherwise, we are coming very quickly to our activity already, okay? Just a few more slides and then we'll go into our activity. Okay, so let's read this story and let's see how some of these transitional words are used in an actual story. Okay, so this doesn't require you to do anything. You just need to read. Okay, but look at the underlined words and see how they are used to order the action and the events in the story. All right, I say again, look at how these underlined words are ordering the actions and the events in this story. Pay attention to how this story uses words like first, then, while, later on, okay? These words tell you when something happens. Okay, when you are done and you are ready for me to flip the page to the next part of the story, you may give me a thumbs up. Enough thumbs up and I will move the page forward. Yep. I'm seeing lots of thumbs ups. I'm seeing lots of thumbs ups. Okay. So I'm just going to move the story forward now. Is that okay? Right. So that's the next page. Okay. So again, you can put your thumbs down until you finish reading. Then you can put your thumbs up again. Alexis, do you raise your hand? Yes, what is it?
I haven't finished.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're just going to have to read a little bit faster, okay, Alexis? Andrea, what is it?
In the last slide, you were blocking the word up there, then I cannot see what it means.
Okay, it's okay, right? I'll try to arrange my position in the next presentation, but for now, just try to read as much as you can. Okay, if you can't read a word or two, it's okay. Don't worry about it, right? It won't affect your understanding of the story. Okay, right. When you're ready, remember to give me a thumbs up so that I know that I can move on to the next page. Yes, I can see that Yi-Chen's very excited, right? 2 thumbs up and 1 leg. Okay, very good. All right. Okay, awesome, awesome. Okay, that's many of us with our thumbs ups. Okay, good. Eric Sher, can you turn off your virtual background so I can see you more clearly? I don't want to see the background or space. Thank you.
I don't know how to turn it off.
Okay, tonight when your parents come back, can you ask them to help you with that, okay? Thank you. All right. Okay, let's move on to the next page. Okay, so this is our activity, yeah? Okay, so okay, sorry, just one more. Okay, take a look at this and order this story for me, please. It's obviously been jumbled up. Okay, who would like to volunteer to order this from my I'd rather have somebody who has not yet answered. Oh, okay, okay. Let me have okay, maybe we try Brandon. Okay, Brandon. Brandon, can you read the story in order for us, please? Brandon, you are muted. Remember to unmute yourself.
One Saturday, when
Mm.
Lane found out it was raining outside, she was excited. She asked her sister, Jean, do you want to play outside? Both went out and got soaked in the rain. They played with water on the roads. Splish, splash, drip, drop, tam, tam. They watched the raindrops hitting the ground. Soon, Jean got sick and had to rest. She longed to play outside, but she had to listen to her mother. After recovering, Jean with Lane and their friends in school played again outside on a sunny day.
Thank you very much. That was very well read. And you were absolutely right in correctly arranging the passages. Brendan, can you tell me which words helped you with the arrangement?
One Saturday,
Okay. One Saturday. Good.
then both, the one
Okay,
where
both.
both went out,
Both.
and then
Okay. Good.
soon.
Okay, so you could see that it was also the story, right? Because before you get sick, you should get wet first, correct? It would be a bit weird if you got sick first, then you got wet after that, right? So it was these connecting words as well as the content of the story that helped you, right, Brennan, to arrange the story in the correct order. Very good. I'm pleased with your performance. Thank you very much. Okay, so now let's go into something, okay, just to show you the correct answer, okay? Brendan, as you can see, was absolutely right. Okay. Let's go on to the next section. Okay. Okay. Now, I just wanted to summarize what we've said. Then I want us to go into a little bit of an activity where we'll write and respond. We'll try using Padlet today. Okay. We'll try using Padlet today. Right. So remember that the words that we are using for transition help to guide the reader to know which event happens first, second, third, fourth, and fifth, and so on. And it also can sometimes show us when two events are contrasting or when they are similar to one another, or when they're supposed to show a certain relationship like cause and effect, right? So very common transitional words like first, then, next, afterwards, finally, are very often used in stories that you read as well as stories that you write, okay? So now let's go into the activity.